So my name is Russell Wilson. I am a anti-human trafficking subject matter expert and consultant. I work with SFCAT regularly on many of their projects. And of course, their poster and writing competition is something that I'm always very excited to support. And so we're here today to discuss what are some of the rules and some of the background around human trafficking.
Hi, my name is Babow. I am a student and I go into schools and speak with high school and middle school students about the dangers of human trafficking. As an artist and a filmmaker, I'm here to help support helping teens learn more about the dangers of trafficking.
Hi, and I'm Mukhar. I'm an attorney. I have a nonprofit law firm called Justice at Last, and we exclusively serve survivors of trafficking. And I've been a member of San Francisco Collaborative Against Human Trafficking for quite a few years. And one of the things I'm most passionate about is the teen awareness summit and contest that we have. We've got the poster contest and the writing contest. And for me as an attorney and the work that I do, it's something completely outside of the legal realm. I get to see youth become informed and inspired, and I get to see their creativity and how they can express it to their peers and help their peers understand what human trafficking is. So it's something, as the chair of the SFCAT Teen Awareness Project, it's something I'm very proud of to be part of. And we're here today to explain the contests themselves and help understand and create an awareness of just the foundation of what human trafficking is and the misconceptions of human trafficking as well.
So one of the things that we wanted the students to understand is sort of just a little brief overview of what human trafficking is and what are some of the signs and some of the things that you can look out for in your own communities around human trafficking. The first thing to be aware of is that human trafficking is an exploitation of one human being of another human being through force, fraud, or coercion. If the victim of this act is a minor and under 18, force, fraud, and coercion are actually not required to be proven. It may involve the exploitation of U.S. citizens, residents, or non-citizens for the purposes of forced labor or commercial sexual acts, regardless of whether the trafficker or the victim crossed a state line or international borders. If victims are under 18, the use of force, fraud, or coercion is not required. Because human trafficking is the second most profitable criminal activity, it is also the fastest growing in the world.
What facilitates human trafficking? Some of the factors include globalization, cheap labor, ease of travel, porous borders, the internet, lack of public awareness, cultural elements, expansion of organized crime, and a victim as a commodity that can be easily replaced.
Some clues for identifying possible trafficking victims in your community and within your friends and social networks is a change in behavior, such as drug use, alcohol abuse, sudden appearance changes, extreme images like, the way one dresses goes outside of what you're used to seeing them dress like. Inappropriate or expensive clothing, for example. Multiple cell phones can oftentimes be a sign of traffickers using multiple cell phones to control their victims. Having inappropriately much older friends, unusually absent from school, accompanied by or and being controlled by a person or boss, not speaking on their own behalf, lack of control over personal schedule, money, ID, travel documents, transported to and from work, lives and works in the same place, debt owed to employer or crew leader, and inability to leave the job, bruises, depression, fear, or overly submissive. These are all signs that you can look out for. Not any one sign is an indicative of a victim of trafficking. However, you see multiple signs stacked together, it can lead to that assumption.
Methods of controlling people in trafficking situations. These can be done by threats of violence against the person or their family members, confiscating or withholding documents, confinement, physical violence, living conditions, food, or access to other medical attention.
So where we can spot victims of trafficking are immigrant communities, areas or zones known for prostitution, law enforcement calls related to domestic violence, sexual assault, family disputes, or emergency rooms are common places where we need to be particularly diligent in looking out for victims of human trafficking.
So the contest, we started the contest, San Francisco Collaborative Against Human Trafficking, SFCAT is what it's sometimes referred to. In 2012 was the first contest that we actually did, and that was a poster contest, and it was targeted at middle school and high school students, teenagers throughout the Bay Area. And in 2016 we expanded that and also are including a writing component as well. And both contests have the same theme, so each year we have an annual theme, and the artist or the writer needs to incorporate that theme into their piece of work, whether it's the artwork itself or it's the writing. So that needs to be either in the artwork itself or in the writing piece somehow, whether it's the title or it's incorporated into the story or the poem, whatever the writing is. What's important to know is that the contest is open to all teenagers that are enrolled in middle school or high school throughout the San Francisco Bay Area. And it can be a public school, it can be a private school, it can be a charter school, it can be any
Homeschool.
homeschool,
Alternative
absolutely,
schools.
alternative schools. So that's what's really important to know. And then for the contest rules.
The rules for the writing contest are as follows. The writing must not exceed 500 words. Original writing only, so no previously published or written materials. The document can be printed, typed, or legibly written. Illegible submissions will be rejected. Writing can be completed by an individual or by groups of up to 3 members. Limit 1 entry per student or group, and the submitted writing will be judged for its compelling message and originality.
So I want to talk a little bit more than just the specific rules on the poster in particular, because images have a lot of power behind them. And you oftentimes see organizations use imagery of children that are in cages or handcuffed or tied up. And these images really don't accurately depict what human trafficking looks like. However, I don't want to discourage anybody if their heart is speaking to them and these are images that they really want to use in their artwork and in their poster. Please feel free to do so. Just know that in general, the movement has steered away and had begun to steer away from images such as these. But that being said, again, you follow your heart. Art is something that comes from within you, and we encourage that completely.
Russell, can you expand about why the movement has gone away from that imagery?
To elaborate deeper on the whole issue around imagery, not only, again, does images of children in bondage and in chains and cages and stuff is not accurate depiction of what human trafficking looks like. It actually kind of promotes an unhealthy view of human trafficking, right? And it negates a whole population of victims that are being victimized through less obvious means. And in the end, that really is what human trafficking looks like, is it's not obvious. It's not clear to your typical person walking down the street that someone that they may be walking next to could be a victim of trafficking. Because victims can be out in public and in our sphere, in our social sphere, and obviously they won't be chained up, and they're not tied up, and they're not caged.
Excellent. I think if you actually just Googled human trafficking and looked at images, you would see these chains, and what you often see is maybe a white person, usually a white young woman or even a white child, and typically what you would see is a person of color as the exploiter, putting their hand over their mouth or something like that. But the reality is, who is getting trafficked here in the Bay Area and the state of California, the United States, it's U.S. citizens, and it's primarily women and girls of color. And so you're not going to see that if you just initially just rely on Google alone and just look up human trafficking. So it's really important to like dig beneath the surface and actually look at what is human trafficking and who is actually being trafficked right here in our Bay Area.
And the whole point of this orientation is not to necessarily give you a complete understanding. There's no way we could do that in this short period of time. What this orientation is intended to do is to inspire you to do your own research and go deeper into this subject and look at multiple sources for your data so that when you do your writing and when you do your poster, you can really have a deeper understanding of what it is you're trying to express in your art. The specifics for the poster contest, the poster size must be between 8.5 inches by 11 inches and 22 and 28 inches. Personally, I think bigger is better. Original artwork only, so please don't copyright or exploit anybody else's artwork. But you can do any medium, art medium that you want: painting, crayons, stickers, charcoals, computer-generated graphics, collage, sculpting. Well, sculpting's not a poster, is it?
Unless you took a photo of
Photo
it
of
after
it.
the fact.
Yeah, you can do a sculpture and take a photo of it. Again, don't want to discourage any form of artistic expression. Posters can be created by an individual or in a group of up to 3 members. Limit 1 entry per student or group. The submitted artwork will be judged on the poster's message, visual effectiveness, universality, and originality.
And then so on the contest forms, you'll see on the back side is the entry form, and we do need that included when it's submitted. That includes just information about the student, about the parent or legal guardian. It's really important that that form is signed by both the student and the guardian or parent, and that has to be submitted when the artwork or the writing is submitted. Otherwise, we will not be able to accept it. Late submissions will not be considered, and they can either be mailed, emailed, or dropped off in person. And then the most exciting part is the
Yes.
money.
So the first prizes, is it each?
Yes.
So,
yes.
for the first prize, the winner gets $500, second prize $200, third prize $50, and those prize values are the same for each the writing and poster contest.
Thank you and good luck.
Do we have any questions?
No?
Do you guys have questions?
I'm actually kind of surprised to hear about human trafficking in the Bay Area.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, given that we're known more to be progressive, and that's sort of what I would imagine, so
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah. Well, I can, because I do this work all over the country, I can say that we talk about it much more openly, you know, which is a good thing. We need to talk about this issue, you know. But you go to some states, it's just as prevalent, but nobody talks about it. So no one's really putting the effort into stopping it, you know. So I would say that the Bay Area is definitely a leader in fighting it.
I have a question. If I want to present a script for some drama or performance
Sure.
and play, can such students participate as well in the contest?
I mean, definitely, there, within
I think
the
that would-
writing.
That would
there's
be the
no
writing
res-
contest.
In the
and I think
writing
that would
There's
be
no
portion.
brilliant.
restrictions, it
Yeah.
can
I
be
think
poetry.
that if they did
It
a
could be
play,
a
you
play,
know, I
it
think
could
that'd be
be-
brilliant.
That would be wonderful.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah. We've had some of the writing samples have come in the form of fiction, some have been, you know, in the form of a diary, and some about just explaining that they're reading the news and their impact on when they read the news. So I
Poems.
think, and poetry, yes.
Spoken word, all kinds,
Yeah.
yeah. You can do it in a haiku.
And then,
It's small, but
Yes.
it
No.
still qualifies.
And then for those of you that are watching this video and maybe you're not actually thinking of participating in the contest itself, but maybe you're interested in being a judge, we are actually looking for teens and young adults to be judges. You just have to make a statement that you're not affiliated or know somebody who's actually submitting artwork, and then we'd be happy to have you as one of our judges.
So you don't get to be a judge.
If you participate.
Right, if you participate.
Are we good?
Well, I was just gonna say, the actual Teen Summit is a really great time for youth to come together and actually see what their peers are doing in their own community to create awareness in trafficking. So we have youth come that are in bands and they're performing their music, and we have dancers, teens that are dancers that are doing beautiful dance work. We have spoken word done by young adults and youth. And so it's a really great opportunity to learn what your peers, the teens' peers, are doing in their own community to create awareness about trafficking.
And there'll be food.
And free food.
Yes, free food's important.
So yeah, I was just curious why, like, you know, not every kid in high school cares about this,
Yeah.
and you know, just curious why you wanted to do this and participate in this.
At first I didn't know about this contest, but my aunt, who is familiar with human trafficking because she has people who told her about their stories about human trafficking, so she introduced this contest to me 2 weeks ago, and I was really surprised about this contest, and I learned about human trafficking during 8th grade, and
Good.
yeah.
Right
That's
on.
They're doing
This
it.
is
Great.
wonderful.
That's great.
That's
You-
great.
Thank
This
you.
this is
Yeah.
a perfect example of why we're doing this,
Yeah.
and we're so glad that you've stepped up to be part of this.